So pretty interesting season, right? It takes place in Philadelphia. That's like where the scene is kind of, you know, Reacher. He loves the Philly cheesesteaks. He's mentioned that a couple times in the very first episode. Talks about the Phillies, and then that's when things start to like pick up and get interesting almost immediately, like right after Reacher gets his cheesesteak, you know, and he's dropped right into it. He's always ends up in the middle of something, right? So to kick off this season, he's in the middle of a major conspiracy after he encounters Anna Merrick, right? Anna Merrick is a terrified Pentagon employee who was on the subway and she killed herself. Believing she may be carrying a bomb initially, Reacher approaches her, but Anna pulls out a gun and takes her own life. Like that happened pretty much on that subway scene. So things got going pretty quick with the action. Not even any time for Reacher to kind of talk her down. They just went right to the action. Bam! Right? So federal agents immediately began searching for a flash drive they believe Anna gave Reacher. That's how Reacher's in the middle of this. After he is attacked and questioned, Reacher joins Anna's brother Jacob, who's a New Jersey police officer, and Philadelphia detective Tamara Green, who initially interrogated Reacher, to investigate her death and the disappearance of her son Ben, who also ends up missing. Ben is the nephew of Jacob, the cop. That's how the cop's involved. That's his sister. Whatever. The investigation initially leads to Layla, who claims she has leukemia. Now, Layla's a reporter and believes that Congressman John Sampson is her biological father. That story turns out to be false. We find that out in the third episode. But in the first episode, well, we kind of find that out in the second episode, but the first episode, that was the story, which was kind of weird, right? It almost, I'm glad that that was false because that would have been too cliche for like, oh, a congressman running for president has a secret daughter. Like that would have been really corny. So I'm glad that there was a twist on that. I'm really happy. So good job for hooking us just enough and then letting it go quickly, right? Not dragging it out to like episode later in the season. They got that out quick. So we find that was the story. Then it immediately went away probably by the second episode. So I'm glad that happened. I'm happy because that was kind of that would have been whack. Now the story we find out the story is false, of course. So Layla's actually she's a journalist investigating Sampson involvement in a secret 1998 Delta Force operation in Indonesia. Now this story plot with the Indonesia, that's a pretty interesting angle. Probably one of the that's probably the juicy the bulk like the juice like the that would pique your interest in wanting to find that out, right? Because everything outside of that in the episode kind of like breadcrumbs here and there, but that's the bulk of like what we want to find out. Everybody wants to find out. So it's still a mystery, obviously. I mean, they talked about some things that happened there, but it's still a mystery. The later claims that Sampson and his commanding officer, Nolan Cahill, trained soldiers working for General Putra. These soldiers later tortured and killed political dissidents, including the husband of the Indonesian woman named Amasha. Now, Amasha, you're going to see her in the episode somewhere. Um, she's been rolling with Layla. Now, the conspiracy grows when Reacher, Jacob, and Tamara are kidnapped. Now, that happened at the end of the first episode. They all get kidnapped and they're held at this illegal CIA black site in DC. Reacher, of course, does Reacher magic. They escape with the help from a freelance journalist, Russell Plum. And Russell Plum is introduced in the second episode. He's like this kooky investigative journalist who digs up conspiracies and stuff like that. But the two separate groups, the two groups separate, and then they go off hunting to search for Anna's missing drive. They later on reconvene, but that's what happens then. Now Ben is also still he's been kidnapped and missing, right? They can't find this dude. The last time they seen Ben was with a woman that sells feet pics, apparently. You'll find that out in the episode. She's like an OnlyFans model. Now, they find her murdered, right? They track her down, but she's already dead. Someone carved her up like a Thanksgiving turkey. And Ben probably is still gone. They don't even know where Ben's at. Investigators later recover Anna's abandoned car and discover a second work badge giving her level 8 access to building 28 station J12, some government building. So this woman was more than just some HR human resources, right? She was much more than that. Like there's a big secret with her that has not been revealed yet. She has some serious access. The biggest revelation comes when Reacher recognizes Cahill as the fourth passenger on the subway. Now, the night that Anna got killed, there were four people on the train. Three of them were um, talked to by police. The fourth person disappeared. Reacher, with his photogenic memory, remembered that Cahill was on that train in Philly the night Anna blew her brains out. So Reacher's putting the pieces together at like record speed, faster than anybody that's involved. And Sampson denies knowing Cahill was there. Sampson, the presidential candidate, the congressman. Cahill is Sampson's chief of staff. Was his chief of staff, as you'll find out later that took his life. But anyway, so Sampson doesn't believe that Cahill was there, so they go to confront him or whatever. So Cahill apologizes to Sampson, right? Sampson finds out that Cahill was doing some other thing. He admits that secrets never remain hidden, and then he appears to take his own life. So Sampson takes his own life, commits suicide. There's already been about 2 suicides already in this first 3 seasons, which is, you know, they really hitting that suicide a lot here. I don't know what's going on with that, like who is writing these shows, but there's been a couple suicides already. Obviously Reacher does what he does. But overall, the first 3 episodes deliver a strong opening to the season, and the story mixes government corruption, military secrets, political ambition, and Reacher's personal guilt over failing to save Anna because he feels guilty because he was right there when she blew her brains out on the subway. The Layla reveal adds another layer because she initially lied to Reacher about the whole leukemia thing, but Reacher forgave her, and then of course they end up having, you know, bam bam, thank you, ma'am. Reacher did one of those moments where he, got some and then bolted, typical Reacher style. And I mean, Layla's hot though. You gotta admit, she's an attractive woman. So of course, Reacher was gonna do his thing. And but to be clear, she came on to Reacher, right? That's how it usually is. The women on the show, they like Reacher. Reacher's, he's like the stud. So anyway, the Layla angle with the journalist, I'm still a little leery about Layla. I'm not fully like trusting her as like 100% yet, because that was a big lie she made. She did lie pretty big. Um, I don't even like Reach's team that he's working with. It's kind of like he's working with like a bunch of misfits. They don't really match up with the team, like the type of people he worked with in like season 2. That was my favorite cast. Yeah, he had a legit team. And obviously, those people were part of the 110, so it's a bit different. But he's making it work so far. But the brother is obviously getting very emotional. Who knows what happens with that? Reacher already said, "Look, you can't keep it under control. I'll leave you on the side of the road." So Reacher's keeping an eye on that. The female cop is having an issue. I think she's gonna run into some issue with her partner because she started like hiding things from him. They stealing evidence and they're taking stuff from crime scenes. I think her partner's gonna turn her in. Uh, so there's a couple things to look out for moving forward. Also, I want to say is that the questions that we need to discuss here is that what is actually stored on Anna's missing hard drive, right? Like a flash drive. Like that is a mystery question because no one still knows at this moment. We know whatever it is very highly top secret. This woman had level 8 access and killed herself. Um Now Sampson denied any type of like nefarious stuff going on when he was over in Indonesia. Do we really believe him? I don't know. Reachers seem to kind of believe him, but then again, we don't know. Um, Another thing that Sampson's wife, who made herself a figure as like someone who's like really in charge behind the scenes. I think there's more to the wife. Uh, I think there's a little bit more there. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm keeping an eye on that. Why was Cahill following Anna on the subway? We still don't really have the full. We know obviously that he wanted the flash drive, but what's on the flash drive that got Cahill going? What makes me think that whatever she found out about this mission over there has to be kind of legit. Because otherwise, why would Cahill have been following her on the subway? He's the chief of staff of possibly the next president. Why would he put himself on the line like that? Uh, I don't know if Cahill took the drive because everyone's looking for it and they're killing for it. They're willing to kill. So I think the drive. I don't think Cahill had the drive because if he did, why would he kill himself? Right? That wouldn't make sense. Also, was Ben kidnapped to force Anna into cooperating? But if Cahill's not calling the shots, he just took his own life. So that means there's someone higher, obviously, calling the shots. Um, and do they have Ben? Is Ben still alive? Who knows? Why are the CIA and another armed group both searching for the same information? Now, if you're going to see during this episode, there's a point where the CIA returns back to the safe house, or they return to, they found Russell the reporter, they find his little hideout, and they get gunned down by some militia type group, which could be the people who are really they move like cartels or whatever. I don't even know. So that's a bit that we don't know what's going on with that yet. That's kind of like hanging in the air. They might have been possibly, and they're using that for leverage to get the hard drive, maybe. Uh, but how useful has Ben if Anna's dead, right? The eh, I don't know. Um, some people want to know if Sampson is really innocent in it. He just, or is he hiding something? I'm not really. I haven't concluded a opinion on that yet. My gut feeling is telling me the wife probably knows more than he does. He could be innocent, but if he is, then that means the wife will likely be the person who knows more. Can Reacher trust Layla after she already lied to Reacher? Now, they did have sex. That's what I was talking about earlier with the bam bam thinking man. But does that mean Reacher's gonna trust her? Right? I don't know. So, guys, if you watched the first 3 episodes, let me know what you think. What is your thoughts on the first 3 episodes overall? Me personally, while I like the storyline, I'm not really feeling the cast members too much. Like some of the cast members are really not. They're really not jumping out to me as of right now. Now it could pick up in episodes 4, 5, 6, or whatever. But besides Reacher, who's doing his thing, I think Reacher's doing a good job. I think the the rest of the cast is really not. They're not really. They're not really hitting it off for me right now. I need to see more. I need to see more. But anyway, that's all for the first 3 episodes for the review. When episode 4 comes out, we'll discuss that. But that's what I'm looking forward to moving forward. See you later.